And it's so funny because Dan, the guy who's been ignored for 2 seasons, has got one little sniff of popularity.
Of course, he does have that other stalker girl from NYU recognized him just by his name.
That is true.
Overhearing is, are you the Dan Humphrey?
Just gonna put you in the stalker pile.
Hey, Upper East Siders and all you scandal-loving listeners out there. You just tuned into the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod. The coffee is strong, the waffles are fresh, and the gossip is hotter than ever. My name is Leif, and I'm your seasoned Gossip Girl veteran.
And I'm Steve. I'm the newbie, the greenhorn, I don't know, Leif, we're in season 3. What are we calling me now?
I don't know, but if you keep pushing, Blair's going to push back, and I'm going to be right behind her.
Well, as long as you leave a sock on the door when you are, then I think we're in the clear.
Sounds good.
So here's the deal, folks. Leif has been watching Gossip Girl since it first aired, and I'm diving in for the first time. And together, we're your dynamic duo, bringing you all the drama, romance, and sometimes questionable fashion choices of this iconic 2007 series.
That's right. Each week, we'll be taking a deep dive into the show, one episode at a time. We'll look at all the hidden references and obscure parallels. We'll also take a look at some stories from fandom and some behind-the-scenes gossip along the way.
And since we are all about inclusivity here at the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, there is always room for you at the Non-Judging Breakfast table. So go ahead and grab a mimosa, a cup of coffee, or some of Chuck's special medicine, and let's get started.
Well, let's get started. And the week of this recording was the week we got the sad news about Michelle Trachtenberg.
Lost her fight with the liver transplant that they're suspecting that it's complicated.
Well, as of now, there's been no actual information released other than the fact that she has recently had a liver transplant.
Yes, and a friend of hers did say that when they talked that she was concerned about the survival of this transplant. But yeah, very sad. I know we've shit on her earlier performances on the show. And it was actually especially kind of impactful watching this episode and watching her really crush it. You know, when we've talked about a lot, when she came onto the show, they didn't know what to do with her and weren't writing to her strengths.
Yeah, the character was originally written, Josh Schwartz wanted it to be Nisha Barton, but she turned it down.
Yeah. And another big thing that took the adjusting, as I said, when we were first watching it, I watched Michelle Trachtenberg grow up from being a 14-year-old or 15-year-old to being an 18-year-old or so on Buffy. So then turning around a few years later and having her then be that same age again was also a little, I know you're not. It hurt the suspension of disbelief in that first season. And now in season 2 and season 3, she really just blends in. It's also so sad because, again, a huge Buffy fan. And I've always loved her storyline, her season 5 storyline. I love this is your sister that you've always known and always been there and always has been, no matter what the audience knows. I always thought that was super creative, and I always thought she played a phenomenal little sister.
Oh yeah, she's always been magnetic. She was a year younger than me, so I grew up right alongside of her, essentially. Mm-hmm. I remember watching her on Pete and Pete. She was Iggy Pop's daughter.
That's funny because Pete and Pete is, you and I are just that far apart that a lot of those shows were too young for me. Yeah. But my sister was watching some of them because she was just at the top of that age bracket. So I was familiar with Harriet the Spy, never saw it. I was familiar with Pete and Pete, never watched it. But you knew that this kid got great traction at a young age.
Moving on to more positive topics, we had this second episode of Good Cop, Bad Cop. Have you watched it yet?
I have not seen the second episode. I watched the first episode and really liked it. You know me. I am easy to please. Everyone in our gaming group always makes fun of me for being the guy that likes everything, because I really do. But I had so much fun with that first episode, and I really am looking forward to the next one.
It's better than I expected. It's still, as a show as a whole, is not.
It doesn't break any new ground.
Yeah.
It's still a cop show.
But the second episode, Lady does get a chance to actually emote a bit. So she was really good in that, in one scene in particular. That was nice to see.
Yeah. And the flip side of that, I really liked seeing her in a more comedic role. Even though she's not really driving the comedy, it's almost a comedy with all straight men. The way that they're being played, I really...
It's a more family-friendly Reno 911.
Yeah, it really is. I like that the father is super corrupt, and they call him on it every step of the way.
Oh, it's even worse in the second episode. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it does point out some of those problems in the justice system. I also feel like, it is a cop show.
And also some other good news, I guess, depending on good news. But Domino Kirk announced on Twitter that her and Penn are having twins.
Yes, congratulations, Penn, and what's her name again? Domino. Yeah, congratulations to the two of them. Robin actually held up her phone yesterday and said "spotted" and showed me the announcement. So congratulations, Ben and Domino.
They're a little new nuclear family. So they got one son from her first relationship, and then they had one son together. Now 2 more coming.
Yeah, that's gotta be daunting. I had a friend, a good friend of mine, who called me many years ago, who said, "I need your advice on how to do it." And I go, "What, being a dad?" And he says, "Being a dad to 3 kids." And he had triplets, and he called them his Insta family.
Well, luckily Penn's out of work now, so he can focus on his family.
Yeah, he can do the John Lennon thing without all the abuse.
Well, today we are here to talk about Gossip Girl Season 3, Episode 3, The Lost Boy. Original air date was September 28, 2009, and based on the film The Lost Boys.
Yes, obviously familiar with The Lost Boys. It is
1987 film with a who's who of 80s cast.
Yes.
Directed by the guy who gave us the nipple batsuit.
Yeah.
Joel Schumacher.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. And we had the Coreys were in it. We had Kiefer Sutherland in it. We had, trying to think of who else. But they were just like, who is every hot actor around right now? And let's put them into this vampire movie.
This episode was written by Robert Hall. He did 3 episodes in season 2 rather. They were The X-Files, It's a Wonderful Lie, and The Grandfather.
Yeah, I feel like The X-Files was the first one to kind of get the swing going of season 2. That we had those first 3 episodes of the...
Well, the 3rd episode, because that was The Dark Knight.
Oh, okay. So it was just the first 2 that were the
Hamptons.
The Hamptons, right. Okay, I keep thinking it was 3 episodes, but I've only seen this once.
Well, Marcus was in a few more, so he kind of jammed it up.
Okay, that's why, because Marcus was still in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was directed by Jean Sonyan-Jacques. I'm probably fucking that up pretty bad, but he did previously The Magnificent Archibalds. That was the Thanksgiving episode. Definitely had the really good scene at the end with Eleanor, Jenny, and Blair.
Yes, where Eleanor is like a parent. She parents Jenny. And
Blair.
And Blair. Yeah, it was so I remember getting teary watching that. That was a wonderful Eleanor scene.
Why don't you go ahead and read us that Vulture recap?
All right, the Vulture recap says, With everything they've been through, the lies, the scheming, the boyfriends who turned out to be Ponzi schemers, the girlfriends who turned out to be stepsisters, the children they never knew existed. It's not surprising that our friends on Gossip Girl have developed what would commonly be called trust issues. Except in their case, they're actually right. The Gossip Girl world is one of sidelong glances, elaborate lies, and outlandish plots. If someone awkwardly stutters in a sentence or tries to get off the phone quickly, it means something. In last night's episode, square-jawed, shifty-eyed Scott flubbed a lie about a college seminar causes Vanessa to question his entire identity. And, of course, she turns out to be right because he is not who he says he is. He is, in fact, Lily and Rufus's son, which he then lies about. Meanwhile, Serena doesn't trust Carter Bazin, in part because of what happened in Santorini. Chuck and Blair pretend not to trust each other, but only because they think it's hot. And of course, no one trusts Georgina, except maybe Rufus, who, human labradoodle that he is, trusts everyone. Or maybe it's just the Botox.
Shaded Matthew Settle there.
Yeah, a little bit there.
A lot of stuff going on in this episode.
Yes. Yeah, it was a very scheme-packed episode that I really liked, that aspect of it.
We'll go ahead and get into Act 1 with the Gossip Girl blast. Mornings in New York. Time to wake up from bad dreams, roll out of beds we've made, and start making plans for a brighter future. Blair is leaving a message for Chuck while walking into her dorm building at NYU. Blair ignores the sock on the door and enters her room and is shocked to find a shirtless Dan on a bed with Georgina.
So you just finished your first class? You're already starting to talk about skipping classes to go bang? That's usually like second semester sort of stuff. Usually it's you skip class sometime halfway through your first semester because you're drunk. You don't start skipping for sex until at least the second semester.
Blair Walters is advanced for her age.
That is true. Always has been. Also, who doesn't know what a sock on the door means?
I'm wearing a glove and I still want to wash my hands. After Blair leaves in disgust, Georgina is making plans to meet the family and friends. Georgina seems like she's falling for Lonely Boy, who maybe, as the kids say, just be vibing.
Yeah. Kind of picked up on that.
Serena and Vanessa catch a once again shoeless and clueless Dan doing the walk of shame. Serena hopes it was Blair. Vanessa hopes it was Georgina.
That scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. The Vanessa walking out. Oh, I thought I heard you guys here. And then Serena and Vanessa at the same time. Please tell me it was Georgina. Please tell me it was Blair. It was just so. It was really well acted, directed, blocked. It was just really a really good setup for that scene.
After sitting and explaining things, Vanessa and Serena agree not to judge Dan, but to tease him mercilessly. Serena recruits Dan to come help her. Vanessa is about to come along when another hole is inadvertently poked in Scott's story.
Yep. Scott's stories keep crumbling. I found that scene with Vanessa, Serena, and Dan to be really nice. Like a nice friend. They're all pretty much siblings at this point. Dan and Vanessa have really established that sort of sibling sort of relationship. And Serena and Dan becoming siblings. I thought that was a really cute scene. And, we're going to mock you for this mercilessly. But, have fun.
What I don't get, so skipping ahead, Dan goes with Serena. And she came to get Blair. And she ends up taking Dan instead. What did she need him for? She walked to NYU so she could go walk to meet Carter.
Yeah.
Like, Dan just immediately walks away when she meets Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. She had no real reason. She's the Vanessa. There's no reason for Serena to be there.
Of course.
Serena's the new Vanessa.
Vanessa calls Scott, who continues to poorly lie to her. As the camera pulls out, it is revealed that Scott is receiving guitar lessons from Rufus. Rufus starts giving fatherly advice about Scott's relationship with Vanessa when they are interrupted by Jenny and Eric. Rufus may be oblivious, but I think Jenny has her radar up.
I kept in my headcanon, there's, hey, you're really good at this. Thanks, Dad. Dan's dad.
Eric's one line of the episode is comparing Shakira to David Bowie.
Although, Eric looked cut when he came in. Broader shoulders, like, tighter shirt on him. Did he also, like, bulk up for in the off season?
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I just felt like and maybe it was just what he was wearing, but I thought Eric came in looking a little more cut.
Forget what year Revenge started. He was on that, and he was like much more rough around the edges character.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize was it simultaneous to Gossip Girl?
Yeah, but I forget it. It didn't go at the beginning. He started at some point. I forget when though.
Okay.
Dan and Serena are walking down the street talking about their respective relationships. Serena warns Dan to DTR with Georgina before she goes from 0 to crazy.
Fair. That's it.
Yeah, good advice.
If you know somebody like that, because, yeah, fair advice and good advice.
Yeah. As Dan leaves, Carter shows up for his date with Serena. As the pair are talking, another woman walks up and accuses Carter of sleeping with her and leaving the next day. She then slaps him. Even though Carter denies it, Serena chickens out and inviting Carter to the family event that evening.
That felt like a setup. The first time watching the whole thing, I had Chuck Bass written all over it and felt like a setup.
I think, maybe that's why Carter didn't defend himself, because he thought it was so obvious.
Yeah. He did say, I don't know her. This isn't real.
I wasn't at that place
either. Yeah. I wasn't even at the place where she said I was, but okay, Serena.
Vanessa is at NYU trying to get info about Scott's enrollment. She discovers that there is no Scott Adler registered at the college.
I really liked Vanessa being the sleuth. That it really makes sense to her character. She wants to be a documentary filmmaker. She wants to do investigative things. I felt that this episode, Vanessa really kind of shined in that respect, that she had something to do and everything she was doing made sense. It really is a nice change of pace for Vanessa, for her character to be making sense.
And that is the end of the first act. We move into Act 2. At the palace, Blair enters with room service. Once the server leaves, Blair strips down to her Kiki de Montparnasse Belle de Jour romper and pounces on Chuck. However, Chuck isn't quite in the mood because he has a big business meeting coming up. Blair puts her coat back on and storms out. As she leaves the hotel room, she discovers an invitation to La Table Elitaire.
Chuck, take 10 minutes. Take a 10-minute break. You've been working so hard on this. Take 10.
Takes Chuck much more.
Yeah.
You got to do it the right way, the Chuck Bass way. You got to take your time.
Yeah. It would take the whole couple of hours.
But this is Secret Society number 3.
It is. It is.
In biblical times, destiny was delivered in the form of stone tablets or a burning bush. But today, true destiny is often engraved and carries an embossed seal. Dan is back at the dorm and awkwardly tries to de-escalate the relationship, and Georgina completely plays it off as cool. Even Dan is surprised at how easy that was. Too easy, one might say.
Yeah, it was Dan being super awkward again and not knowing how to say the thing.
If you want me to leave, I'll get people to just leave.
Yeah. And Georgina, the way she played it too, like, you're adorable. I'm going to get pizza. Let's go. That it really kind of felt like the message was receipt.
Yeah.
But also, you kind of get the sense that it is Georgina and that's a card that she has to play. That Georgina has shown she's good at reading and playing. Yeah.
And she thinks she can eventually convince him.
Yeah.
Because I do think she was legitimately.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Blair and Serena are strolling in the park, discussing first La Table Elitaire and then Blair's sexual frustrations. I guess that's just what seeing a shirtless Dan in the flesh does to someone. Blair tries to get Serena to dump Carter. The ever-defiant Serena instead calls and invites Carter to the event later.
Once again, we have a really nice best friend scene that we had one last week, more toward the end. But I feel almost as though the writers are very intentionally creating these moments to bring Blair and Serena together. And I'm not mad at it. I think it's actually a really good thing to really constantly establish that friendship. So I just really liked what this scene did for sort of the meta story of their friendship. Mm-hmm. I think it also I think Blair's kind of showing her hand a little bit here too.
And I think Serena almost swallowed that fun just to show Blair how hard she was flirting with Carter.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She was going to start licking it at least.
Chuck shows up for his business meeting only to be told it's been canceled by an attractive assistant. She blows off Chuck's attempts to charm his way back into the meeting and instead advises Chuck to get a famous photo of her boss in order to impress him.
I initially, in the first couple seconds, thought that Chuck was establishing something here that could be the thread that pulls Blair and Chuck apart. He sees a pretty young person who looked really familiar. The actor looked really familiar, and I felt like she looked like someone from an earlier episode of Gossip Girl, but I could just be completely mistaken. But I kind of had that thought of...
Yeah, look those things up when you see them.
Oh, I see. I thought I'm not supposed to be looking stuff up.
Oh, you can look up an actor's name.
Oh, okay. Then I'll do that.
I mean, like if you see an actor in an episode, look up that episode and
yeah.
See if they click on and see what episodes they were on. What they're in.
Fair. Am I right? Was she in something, or do you? Oh, you okay?
I had no idea.
I'll do that research. Like I was saying though, last week I said that their Blair and Chuck cannot be smooth sailing indefinitely. There has to be a shakeup at some point. So I thought that that his approach to the receptionist might have been that thread that he was being too flirty. I'm glad that I was wrong.
So there was definitely something major set up for their relationship in this episode. We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Okay.
Joanna Garcia is helping Blake Lively shoulder the mandatory cleavage requirements for the episode as Bree and Nate are walking and talking. Bree's family has still not called her back. The new couple decide it's time for a public debut.
Robin, when we were watching this, Robin got up for just a quick second and said something like, "Are you asleep yet?" And I realized I actually completely zoned out on this scene the first time I watched it. And the second time I watched it, I realized that I didn't miss anything. that it was just more boring Nate relationship stuff. And so deep into the episode. Both times you can tell that they're like, oh shit, and we got to throw this Nate stuff in here too, because it's so late in the episode. It's not even in the exposition. Nate has these two scenes that are nearly pointless, except for Bree's scene at the end. It's just this pointless, boring Nate arc.
Welcome to the next 5 seasons.
Oh. Nate.
Yep. He's just kind of there.
That sucks.
Dating older women.
That's cool.
At least he's over 18 now.
Exactly. Yeah. Now that it's a little more appropriate. She's a master's student. Yeah. We established, right?
Yeah. She's grad student.
So she could be a doctoral. Could be beyond. But still, it's within like 6
college,
years.
Yeah,
they're within 6 to 8 years.
Yeah. Outside the auction house, Blair and Chuck bump into each other and quickly realize they are both here for the same photo.
Wow. I liked this conflict for the two of them. That it is putting them in a friendly competition that doesn't compromise the relationship quite like another person would.
Yeah.
That they need tension, they need fighting, they need scheming. That's their foreplay. So for them to both be going after this same piece of art, I thought that was really good.
Vanessa invites Scott to her dorm room to elicit a confession out of them. To his credit, Scott comes clean and reveals the truth about being Rufus and Lily's love child. Gossip Girl has this to say. They say, honesty is the best policy. I hope everyone's policies are paid up, because we're on a collision course.
Quick note about Scott. I looked into Inspector Pilot, or Pilot Inspector. The only thing that I could find is that it is Jason Lee's kid.
I saw that.
I wonder if they're trying to say that he looks like Jason, like a young Jason Lee. Like he could be Jason Lee's kid. But that is the only reference I could find on it.
Have you seen the recent pictures of him?
Of
3G?
No, I haven't.
He's one of those people that his face still looks young, but he's got like receding hairline.
Yeah.
He's got like a baby face with a receding hairline, so it creates a little cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's sort of like I can see there's a face that I can see but I can't place the name of it.
We move into Act 3. Back from the break, Scott is explaining his story to Vanessa. Vanessa reveals to Scott that his parents lied to Lily and Rufus about him dying. Scott begs Vanessa to wait a day or two more so he can talk to his parents before revealing the truth to Rufus.
Asking for a day or two is reasonable.
Yeah.
That situation that he put her in is not unreasonable. Give me a day or two. I need to think this over and talk to my mom and talk to my parents.
Yeah, I want to find out why they lied.
Yeah, find out why they lied. They need to tell, and they need to know before I go to Rufus. All of that was fair.
Yeah. Carter is trying to check out of his hotel, but his card is being declined, and he is being charged for room service he claims never to have ordered. Serena walks in on the scene and offers to pay his tab. Carter is upset that Serena clearly doesn't trust him.
Again, felt like a setup. It had Chuck Bass written all over it.
They kind of play their hand too, right, in this next scene, because they're charged bottles of Dom.
Yeah.
And then Chuck shows up
with the bottle of Dom.
Yeah. Chuck comes to Blair's dorm room with a bottle and a proposition that they both skip the auction and just bang one out.
Sounds fair again.
Yeah. They both had other ideas.
And again, like, Chuck is coming in here with some kind of scheme. Like, he's up to something.
Vanessa continues to be the worst when she invites Dan to coffee to tell him that Scott is lying, but refuses to tell him the whole story. And after Vanessa leaves, Georgina lends a friendly ear and convinces Dan that they should investigate Scott's identity. Why tell him that he's lying without explaining it?
Yeah. Or without at least, first of all,
just don't say anything.
Yeah, first of all, you've already said you're not going to tell this secret, and then you tell the secret that leads to the secret. You tell the other big secret to Dan. And now, you don't even say, hey, I can't tell you right now, but he'll tell you in a couple days. You could easily just say, look, there is another secret here, and it's not mine to tell, which happens a lot on this show. It is okay to say to someone, I know a secret, it's not mine to tell, you need to get it from this person.
But the fact that she specifically called him to tell him.
Yeah, she sets up a meeting with Dan to be like, hey,
I have a secret.
Yeah, I have a secret. My boyfriend's lying to me. He's not who he says he is. That's it.
And don't worry about it.
Yeah, and don't worry about it. It's all fine.
The worst.
Yeah.
And then Georgina comes in and, this is Dan. Definitely time to investigate.
Yes.
Chuck and Blair are just about to get to the good stuff when their phones keep simultaneously interrupting them. They quickly learn that each of them was using sex to distract the other from the auction while their respective representatives bid on the photo. Blair dashes out of the room with Chuck's shoes in hand.
Dorota's opposition research isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
They were trying to find the value of the painting and have their people doing the research behind their backs. I loved it.
What's with these people stealing each other's shoes?
Yeah.
Chuck getting to taste his own medicine from last season.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed.
Georgina's sleuthing skills picked up in a past life as a preteen spy, combined with Dan's memory for random facts, allow the pair to track down Scott's true name.
Now, you say sleuthing skills. I'm going to replace that with stalking skills. We know Georgina is a little unhinged. And so it just kind of really explained to me that side of her character that, yes, I'm going to go on and learn everything I possibly can about these people. And that just really fit in line with what I know.
Well, presumably she just Googled the 3 things Dan told her: Scott, MVP, and Eagles.
Lions, yeah. Yes. A soccer team called the Lions, and then that found his championship team. And when I said that, though, I would like to think that the intention was more showing that Georgina is good at this, has that kind of savvy with searching and stalking, essentially.
Yeah, she would be a good partner for Dan.
Yeah.
They would be a powerful duo. Scott finds Vanessa and tells her he had it out with his parents. He also asks her to be by his side when he goes to confess his identity to Rufus.
Cool. I'll be there for you. Absolutely.
Dan is able to connect Scott's name to the fan mail he got last year, but doesn't put the whole truth together. Dan leaves a voicemail for V, but invites Georgina to the auction to go find Vanessa. Of course, Dan thinks it's all about him.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously.
So you like your stalker? That's pretty rock star.
I published one essay, and they're already coming after me. It must be about me.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because Dan, the guy who's been ignored for 2 seasons, has got one little sniff of popularity.
Of course, he does have that other stalker girl from NYU that recognized him just by his name.
That is true. and overhearing is,
are you the Dan Humphrey?
She's gonna put you in the stalker pile.
And Gus Grill has this to say as we go to act break. Turns out photographs won't be the only thing up for grabs tonight. Priceless Secret is on the auction block, and bidding begins now. We move into Act 4. Nate and Bree arrive at the Sotheby's, and Nate pulls Bree in for a dramatic kiss in front of the swarming paparazzi.
Great.
They look pretty, though.
One note about these scenes that I really like how they were shot. This whole outside, them coming in from the limos, them coming in. I thought it was well shot and well directed. Just the way that they were one after another, kind of bringing them through. Some of it felt like one shot. I don't know if it was one shot, but some of it felt that kind of one shot scene feeling that really brought in a continuity.
Yeah, as boring as Nate's storyline is, at least he actually has one, unlike, Jenny.
It's just
and her familiar Eric.
Yes. her familiar Eric, as she's casting spells.
She comes in for one line and just kind of follows along behind her.
Yeah.
And it says something else. It has nothing to do with anyone's talking about.
No. Yeah. We can have Eric for an episode? Cool, we'll just put him in here. And Eric's, of course, the guy, Eric, is just getting paid for showing up.
Vanessa and Scott holding hands are the next to arrive. Vanessa checks her phone and sees 3 missed calls from Dan, but chooses to ignore it. She instead stops to give Scott some reassurance.
Yeah, Vanessa knows what's going on, so doesn't have to worry about Dan's phone calls that she keeps ignoring.
Blair steps out of her limo just as Serena is walking up. Blair quickly catches her up on the quest for the photo.
And again starts to show her hand to Serena by talking about Carter.
Yeah. And of course, Chuck shows up, and this is where Serena finally starts to figure things out.
Right.
Blair storms off. However, Chuck hangs back to give Serena the exact same advice about Carter that she got from Blair moments earlier.
She's putting it together, yeah.
Rufus has to go check on the auction schedule before Scott can make his confession. To make matters worse, it looks like Scott's adoptive mother has also shown up at the auction. A quick drive from Boston.
Right. Yeah, she got there quick.
Mhm.
I also really, Rufus is like, see you, buddy. On the arm, like, hey, pal. It was the most, like, not dad-like thing. It was how I would sort of, like, a student that did a good job, I might give that little arm back. Well done. Because it's too condescending to pat them on the head.
Blair and Chuck sit down together preparing to go to war over the photo. However, the two only succeed in distracting each other, and Serena ends up winning the photo.
I loved that. What I really loved about it is the way they distracted each other by telling each other how great each other is. You don't need some secret society to prove how great you are. You're Chuck Bass. When do you need to buy somebody's affection? When do you need to buy your way into someone's good graces? You just go in and take it. Yeah. And so I really like how they distracted each other by loving each other so much. And I thought that was really sweet.
Scott's mother confesses her fear is what caused her to lie to Lily and Rufus, but she is now here to support Scott in whatever he chooses. And thank God they got a good actress for her, because she actually able to. This is like the one time I actually cared about Scott. He put on the screen.
It's funny.
She carried the scene.
She did. And at the same time, I didn't fully trust her. Maybe it wasn't the first time watching. Maybe it was the second time. It kind of reminded me of my older sister was adopted by my dad during his first marriage, before he met my mom. And when she was in her 20s, she wanted to find her biological parents and did the research, tracked them down, eventually found them. And they were this couple that was still together, but at the time they just were too young to have a kid. They weren't ready to raise a kid. And I remember my dad flipping out on my sister. My dad could not handle her wanting to go find these biological parents. That my sister had to keep saying, you're my dad. You're the one who raised me. That doesn't change. And after she got in touch with them, she invited them to her wedding a few years later. She had been in touch. And I know that they didn't come to the reception. And they left early. And my dad had said something about them not getting to be a big enough part of it, and they were mad about it. And it always kind of made me reflect on that, in the sense that I felt that there was a lack of sincerity in what she was saying. When she said, you're my son, I felt like that was her really almost guilting him into, you're my son, but go do whatever you want. And I felt that that was a way of putting in his head that he shouldn't be telling Rufus. And again, like you said, I thought she carried that scene. I felt for Scott in that scene. I didn't trust her in that scene.
Well, she's always been shady, so.
Exactly.
So we shit on the assistants a lot in this show, but I think this is the second time, at least the second time, that Vanya has given up information. That's how she found them at this auction. She says, I went to their building, I knew their address, and the doorman told me.
Oh, yeah. That's really funny.
So do these writers have something against people who stand or sit behind desks?
Receptionists, doormen. Yeah.
Dan and Georgina arrive and meet up with Rufus to tell him that Scott is Dan's fan from last year and might be dangerous. Vanessa walks up and says he's not dangerous. And Scott comes up with his mom and confesses with another lie about being Rufus and Lily's dead son's brother.
Why? That was so fucking dumb. Why are you lying about this? And again, I feel like it was the mom being like, you are my son, that it kind of put it in his head, oh, if I go do that, then I'm someone else's son, and I can't do that to my mom. I really kind of felt that was the manipulation.
But we go into the break with Sorry, Vanessa. Looks like the price of truth was just too rich for Scott's blood.
Yeah.
Act 5 begins, and Serena has it out with Chuck and Blair over their scheme to destroy Carter's credibility. However, through their confession, Serena figures out that Carter used his last trip to go looking for her father, and that Carter only came back when he found him. Marie seems oddly interested when she overhears the conversation.
Yeah, it was Serena's recognition that Carter went off to find her dad was really... I liked it. I like this Carter Bazin glow up so far. If it's sincere, it seems to be so far. I also like that their scheme all caught up to them. The warrant for his arrest. Well, you just might want to take a DNA sample down to the police station tomorrow.
Well, who did Chuck rape?
Like, to get Carter.
Yeah.
Got him.
I'm Carter Bazin.
In his Batman voice.
Scott is continuing the charade with Rufus, who is overcome with emotion and gives Scott a hug.
Dad? Just the look on Scott's face of like, oh, it's happening. It's happening.
And the look on Rufus's face, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, my son, he would have loved me.
Yeah,
I'm a good dad.
I'm a good dad. It's like, and you know, Scott, he probably would have been a good dad to you, male Scott, male son of his.
Who can play guitar.
Who can play guitar, who's definitely cooler than Dan. and you kind of get the sense, we get the sense that the Rossens kind of suck, right? That they love their kids, but you also kind of wonder, like, what kind of affection is there in that family? Has he ever had a hug from his dad before? Because he didn't look like it. He looked genuinely like, this is what a hug from a dad feels like.
Serena convinces Blair that she should give up the photo for Chuck. Blair sets the invitation tabla italite on a table, and Serena examines it and quickly comes to another realization.
It's funny because when I first watched this, the first time we saw the invitation, I was like, I recognize that handwriting. I recognized it right away from season 1.
Blair gives the photo to Chuck, and they make up and reaffirm their love to each other. Gossip Girl pipes in with, in a bidding war, even when you win, what you thought you wanted can suddenly be reappraised.
Yeah, again, I thought they were sweet. Her giving the painting to Chuck because she doesn't need the club.
Yeah,
the
she
secret
does not know it's a setup yet.
Does she find out in this episode?
They don't show it. I don't know, so. But this is what I was alluding to earlier, as setting something up. To me, this is the writers are clearly flagging up. Blair is willing to give up what she wants for Chuck.
Yeah, and Chuck has not demonstrated.
So they can go kind of 3 ways here. They can go, Chuck does give something up for Blair. They can have Chuck not give up something for Blair. Or they can have this situation come up again and Blair this time choose herself.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're gonna have to go 1 of 3 ways there.
Yeah.
With this setup.
Yeah, that tracks.
And then Serena confronts Georgina about the invitation. She would recognize that G anywhere. Serena tells Georgina it's time to go.
Yeah. That's gonna go over well.
Well, I mean, I like the side of Serena. When Serena's playing the game, she plays to win.
You're right. You're right.
Cold-blooded.
You're absolutely right.
And it's much more interesting, Serena.
It is. Especially since Serena tries so hard not to play most of the time and spent her...
She wants to think of herself as being a good person.
Yes. And she spent the better part of her last 2 years in high school trying to stay out of the game until that one moment when she kind of felt forced and took over as queen for about 5 minutes and realized she didn't really want it. But yeah, she doesn't really play the game much, so now that she's about to, that is going to be interesting.
Serena hurries Dan, Vanessa, and Rufus into the town car so that Georgina is left out in the cold.
That was cold, Serena.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Like,
She's
go.
Yeah, because she's such a bad liar, too. Oh, no, Georgina's definitely not here. She had a headache. Yeah. She had a headache. Yeah, that's the ticket.
And Gossip Girl has this to say about it. But it's the things we walk away from that feel like they cost the most. And yet, it's when we've been outbid, forced to watch our prize go home with others, that rules of protocol no longer apply. I wouldn't put your paddles away just yet. Who knows what bidders will do when they're desperate. And we move into the epilogue. Dan is giving Georgina a gentle breakup call out of the close supervision of Serena. Georgina tries to play it off cool, but her face and her laptop wallpaper tell a different story.
Yeah, the wallpaper in the background is what was the most noticeable.
Yes. Serena and Dan have a quick conversation, and it's revealed that Carter isn't returning any of Serena's messages.
Yeah, that tracks.
It turns out the assistant from earlier is friends with Georgina and helped G set up Chuck and Blair. Chuck tells the club owner to thank his assistant when the lease of the Empire Hotel isn't renewed. Sounds like Chuck has bigger plans on his mind.
Yep. Chuck figuring out this scheme and then getting the best of it. I really liked Chuck getting the best of her after she screwed him like that and gave the guy the photo. Like, here's this photo. And it's so funny. Here's this $6,000 photo that my friend paid for. Here you go. And just walks out. Like, you can have it. And it was a power move.
So I understand the photos of him with like celebrity and stuff on the wall, but on the not the desk, like the credenza across from the desk, there's a portrait of just the guy.
Oh wow, I didn't notice.
Who the hell is a portrait of themselves in their office?
It takes a special kind.
Scott returns to the dorm to say goodbye to Vanessa. Vanessa reluctantly agrees to keep Scott's secret. However, as the camera pans out, we see Georgina listening from outside the door.
So Georgina's going to know the secret.
And always look around corners.
Yes, yeah.
Or you're going to talk about secrets.
Also, earlier when you said to Vanessa, here's a big secret, give me 2 days. Fair. Saying, here's a big secret, now keep it forever from your family. Because Rufus is more of a dad to her than her dad.
Yeah.
We've known that for years. The Humphreys are more Vanessa's family. Do we know Vanessa's last name?
Abrams, right,
we do. But we know more, but she's more a Humphrey than she is anything else. So you're saying keep this lie up for me indefinitely while I leave you and go back to Boston. So you're not even continuing this relationship and you expect her to keep up with your lie? No, fuck that. And now it puts Vanessa in a really weird situation because how do you tell Rufus, hey, by the way, that's actually your kid? Yeah. He's lying. So it's so fucked to do to her.
Yeah. Carter arrives at the penthouse and Serena uses her lips to lure him into staying for breakfast. The family, minus Lily, welcomes him for crepes. I guess Rufus is getting a bit bougie now that he's on the Upper East Side.
I've been noticing that more and more it's just, I mean, he was running the auction and handling this auction and all of these things that he would have been so opposed to even attending a year ago. He's just, well, this is my new role.
Yeah. House husband.
Yeah. Trad husband.
Chuck is outside the Empire Hotel and tells Blair that her faith in him allowed him the courage to risk his father's fortune to buy the entire hotel. Also, he booked the penthouse so they can bang out their frustrations.
Yeah, why you have this hotel empire? Why do you need to cash out all of your stuff when your company that you own could just buy that hotel and you could just make that your personal project? Why go out on your own? Why sell all of your shares in the company that you're running
I think you can't just buy a hotel in Manhattan. That's going to be billions of dollars.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I just thought it was a bit more. You have hotels,
Yeah, they have one hotel.
Oh, I thought it was it's a real estate empire, which is why I guess I thought he had more hotels.
Maybe, but probably not in Manhattan.
Okay.
I'm guessing the cost of a Manhattan hotel is probably at least $10 billion.
Okay. That's fair.
A happy Carter and Serena part on the street, and Carter is flagged down by Bree. It sounds like Carter did something to piss off the Buckleys, and Bree is going to use Carter's location as capital to get back in with her family.
Yeah.
Nate once again being used by an older woman.
Yeah, exactly. And this time as an afterthought. And why are we pitting two side characters against each other? Why? They're not even... both of these people are temporary.
Both this cliffhanger and the next one are both all about side characters. We get this one, and then the final scene is Georgina deletes Dan's wallpaper and books a train to Boston. Oh, clearly to go after Scott.
Yeah.
Two more side characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are we doing this, Gossip Girl? Why are we making drama out of the people we're not going to care about mid-season?
And she has this to say about it. Anyone want to start the bidding war on what happens next? Going once, going twice. XOXO, Gossip Girl. So what's coming next?
Georgina's going to go play Scott somehow. Serena is going after Georgina, which is going to be fun. Yeah, I could not care less about the Carter briefing. It's an extension of the boring Nate relationship that I already don't care about. And I'm starting to get bored with the Serena-Carter relationship. Last week, when we read the Max description of Serena not liking what she was seeing of Carter, I said last week, by the end of that episode, she's going to see that she was an asshole and that she was wrong about everything. So I'm kind of already getting bored with...
Yeah, Carter has kind of been declawed, as it were.
Yes, very much. The Carter of last season who kidnapped a girl in front of Chuck, and now he's just this sweet guy who will do anything for Serena.
Anything else?
Vanessa has to deal with this secret. I see Vanessa sitting on it and stewing about it, but she has no one to talk to about it. And so that's going to have to boil over somehow. Who does Vanessa go to about it? Does she go to Blair? Does she go to Georgina? But Georgina already knows. So Vanessa is sitting on this thing that has to boil over at some point too.
Will Scott come back?
I feel like he has to at some point. I feel like Scott has to come back at some point. I feel like he's been set up to be another Georgina-esque character that he'll pop in. Not so much for the chaos, but for the drama here and there. I feel like Lily has to be involved. He hasn't met Lily yet, and that has to happen. So I'm assuming Scott will be back.
It would be pretty funny if Lily never meets him.
Yeah, just never knows. Rufus, like season 6 is like, oh yeah, by the way, did I ever tell you about that time I met our son's brother?
All right, let's go ahead and get into some segments. This week in fandom, we jumped into the Wayback Machine to visit the Television Without Pity forums from 2009.
Hello there, Peabody here. And this is the Wayback Machine for traveling through time. And this is my boy, Sherman. Speak, Sherman.
Hello.
Good boy.
Disappointing episode. Something feels off.
I felt not so much that I was disappointed. I felt like it was a nothing episode. I felt like, other than the Scott thing, nothing went anywhere. The plot of this season did not go any further. That didn't bother me. It feels like a standalone episode that doesn't really play into a greater arc, which I think is what felt off. That everything just kind of wrapped up, and these cliffhangers also two cliffhangers that we don't really give a shit about because it doesn't affect the non-judging Breakfast Club or Dan.
It's apparently easier to get a storyline as a guest star. Way too much focus on them. The main characters like Jenny and Nate have almost zero screen time.
Yeah. Very weird. To hire Eric, to pay him the money to be on set, to just walk next to Jenny. That was it.
Chuck and Blair work as a couple, but they are missing the sexiness they had in season 1. The audience was just as frustrated as Blair in this episode.
I don't really know about that. I say that because the whole point was that there was supposed to be the tension and them not.
But that's why I say the audience was just as frustrated.
Yeah, that's fair.
They wanted to see the sex.
Yeah. I mean, the Blair coming on to Chuck was sexy when he was working on this stuff. I guess I kind of get what they're saying, but I felt like it didn't bother me. I thought that it was a good storyline for what it was.
Ed Westbrook is hot, but needs subtitles.
Yeah, I always watch with subtitles, but that's accurate. Where is she?
A lot of comments about the whispering in this episode. Based on the poor fashion and styling, there was speculation that there was a reduced budget for season 3.
Huh. That could make sense.
Yeah, I mean, their highest rated episode of the series was season 2, episode 3, The Dark Knight. From there, it's pretty much a slow, steady decline all the way through the next. And finally, way too much Vanessa.
I get that. At the same time, I don't mind Vanessa when Vanessa makes sense. I felt like everything Vanessa did in this episode made sense for her to do. She wasn't out of place. She was caught in someone else's scheme. I wasn't upset with Vanessa.
I was very annoyed with the Dan meeting.
The Dan meeting?
Where she invites him to tell him she has a secret.
Yes. I was annoyed by that. On a whole, though, I wasn't put off by Vanessa. That was, Vanessa, why would you do this?
And I did actually copy down one rather vitriolic statement. It does contain a OC Season 3 spoiler, so if you don't want to hear that, skip ahead about 30 seconds. But user Fierce Plastic had this to say. Kill off Vanessa. Ugh. He did it with Marissa Cooper. He can do it with Vanessa. Make her self-righteous ass get into the middle of a gunfight because she thought she could save everyone, and then she gets shot. Or at least make her interesting and have her start a downward spiral with drugs and sex, and she has to prostitute herself or what have you. And she will at least be interesting. And then Blair saves her, and then Vanessa can never say anything bad about anyone ever. I really hate Vanessa.
Damn. Hey, get it out, buddy. Get it all out.
That was from user Fierce Plastic. That is it for this week in fandom, though. So let's head over to episode grades. What do you got this week?
I gave this episode a B-. I felt like it was an out-of-place episode, that it was sort of a nothing episode that didn't really go anywhere. I liked the Chuck and Blair stuff. I liked that they schemed against each other and came together lovingly in the end. I liked that there were so many schemes in this, that everyone was scheming or being schemed in some way, shape, or form. I did think the ending with Carter and Bree and the ending with Scott and Georgina, all of these, again, the side character things, I thought that was a lame way to end it. But overall, I didn't hate the episode, but I don't think it was a great or good episode. So B-.
I feel pretty much the same, but you're a little more generous to me. Like you said, this wasn't a bad episode, but it wasn't particularly a good episode. So I just want to write down the middle with a C.
That's fair. That is a fair grade.
On to Stock Watch. Who do you got going up?
Okay, I had Chuck going up. He's got this big idea. And did great scheming throughout the episode. Chuck, I had Serena going up. I had Carter going up because he seems to be landing Serena again. I had Vanessa going up because I liked her doing the sleuthing. I liked that her role in the episode made sense. And for that, I gave her an up because I don't often give her an up. I didn't believe that's what I had. Oh, yeah. Yep. Sorry.
So for me, I had Serena going up because she was observant for once and she's a cold hard bitch at the end. I had Chuck going up because he's got a new plan and it looks like he's going to go for it. I also had Bree going up because she got to make out with Nate and she looks like she's going to be able to get something to get back with her family.
That's a fair one.
And then this one might be a little controversial, but I had Rufus going up. Even though he was a doofus, he got what he needed. He got that closure.
It's funny.
It's going to blow up in his face.
Yeah,
obviously.
It's funny because, yeah.
He was happy all episode pretty much.
He really was.
Aww. That's it. Who do you got going down?
So I had Rufus going down. And I had him going down simply because he got played so hard that had Scott told him the truth, I would have had Rufus going up. But because Rufus kind of, in a sense, has just lost his son again, I felt for him. But yeah, I had Rufus going down for that. I had Blair going down. She lost the scheme and she gave the painting to Chuck. She lost. So I had her going down. I had Georgina going down because she just got dumped. And I believe that's everybody I had going down.
All right. For me, I had Dan because he was narcissistic and then he got yanked around by Vanessa, around by Georgina. And yeah, he didn't have a good episode. Blair going down because, yeah, like you said, she's now showing that she's once again being subservient to Chuck. I had Georgina going down because she got bulldozed by Serena. Carter I had going down because he was, lost all credibility and his credit got fucked with, and so he's not.
That's fair.
And Scott I had going down because he's a lying piece of shit.
Add Scott to mine. I forgot Scott. I knew there was someone I was forgetting.
I also had Sean McPherson going down because he's about to lose his club, and the assistant because she's probably fired immediately.
Yeah, those are also both fair. I would actually like to add the assistant. I won't add Sean McPherson, but I'll add his assistant.
But here's the best outfits from the last episode we've seen.
On over to best outfits. Who you got?
I had Georgina's the purple that she wore to the auction.
I thought it was more of a turquoise.
Was it? That's confusing. Oh, I think Georgina's dress at the auction was the thing that I.
Yes, I actually had the same thing.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was a Foley and Corinna asymmetrical zigzag jersey dress.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it really popped. I don't know why I was thinking purple. I think she was in purple at a different time. But yeah,
Blair had purple on.
Okay, but I remember it was Georgina that really caught my eye.
And that is it for segments. You got anything to plug this week?
Right now, just my TikTok and Instagram, steve.marchon, Marchion. You can also find me on Blue Sky at The Weed Wizard. That's pretty much what I have going on right now. No gigs or shows coming up. I've been really into the show Mythic Quest, though, on Apple TV. It's some of the Always Sunny guys developed it, and it stars Rob McElhenney as the creative director of a video of an MMO, and it's a very fun show.
Well, nothing for me this week, but if you want to follow me on social media, I am at Hot Capicola, HOTCAPICOLA on Instagram and Blue Sky. You can follow the podcast at Non-Judging Breakfast Pod on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can also check out our website, nonjudgingbreakfastpod.com, if you would like to take a look at our Discord server or support our Patreon. Always appreciated. never expected.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, please feel free to send us an email at nonjudgingbreakfastpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to read about your we'd love to read your email here on the show and see what you have to say. Also, if you could please hit that like button, hit that subscribe or follow button, leave a comment. That really helps us in Apple Podcasts. And if you could also tell a friend what you're listening to, it'll make us that water cooler talk. Tell your friends to tune into the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, and you can talk about Gossip Girl with them together.
And we will be back next week to talk about Season 3, Episode 4, Dan de Florets. The Max episode description reads, "It's the first day of school at Constance Pillard, which means it's also time for Jenny to take her rightful place as the new queen bee."
It's funny that the episode's named after Dan, but then Max is like, that's not really what this is about. But I'm excited to see Jenny back in action, too, so that's fun.
Well, Dan's single again, so maybe you get the new girlfriend.
Yeah, maybe someone stalking Dan is going to wind up with it.
He is the king of NYU, after all.
Yeah, he's very popular.
Well, until next time, you know you love us.
XOXO.
Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Oh, it seems I'm walking right to your door. My heart's still resting, looking for something more. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Never feels right when I'm out here on my own. I left last night and it feels like way too long. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Come back to me. Smile and you'll make my life complete. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me